A look at the legacy of the former Star Trek star Nichelle Nichols, best known for playing Lieutenant Uhura, who's died aged 89.
Before her death, Nichelle Nichols finally broke her silence, revealing the painful truth about what really happened behind the scenes of Star Trek. For decades, fans saw a show about unity, progress, and inclusion. But Nichols' final confession exposed the hidden discrimination, exclusion, and emotional battles she faced as one of the first Black women on TV in a major role. What she revealed changed everything. This isn't just a story about a sci-fi series, it's about a legacy, a fight for dignity, and the truth the world never knew. Until now. When Star Trek premiered in 1966, it introduced audiences to a vision of the future where humanity had moved beyond racial divisions. One of the key figures in this groundbreaking cast was Lieutenant Uhura, played by Nichelle Nichols. Calm, capable, and dignified, she was a trusted member of the bridge crew on the Starship Enterprise. Her role was revolutionary. She wasn't a maid, servant, or comic sidekick. She was an officer, a communicator, and a trailblazer. For Black women across America, seeing Uhura on screen was a revelation. She was one of the first Black women on mainstream television whose character was not based on stereotype. Whoopi Goldberg once said she was stunned when she saw Uhura, turning to her mother and shouting, "There's a Black lady on TV and she ain't no maid." Mae Jemison, the first Black woman in space, credited Nichols for inspiring her journey. But the image of progress portrayed on screen didn't always match the reality off camera. Nichols was often excluded from promotional materials. Her lines were minimized or cut entirely. Producers wanted her to have a smaller presence. She was praised publicly, but sidelined privately. Eventually, the weight of being ignored became too much. Born Grace Dell Nichols on December 28, 1932 in Robbins, Illinois, she later asked her parents for a new name. They gave her Nichelle, meaning victorious maiden. Raised in Chicago, she studied dance and toured with legends like Duke Ellington and Lionel Hampton. Before Star Trek, she worked in theater, appeared in The Lieutenant, Gene Roddenberry's earlier show, and even performed at the Playboy Club in Chicago. Despite the groundbreaking nature of her role, Nichelle Nichols felt increasingly frustrated during the first season of Star Trek. She believed her talents were being underused, with her lines often cut and her presence downplayed. Disheartened and longing to return to her roots in musical theater, she made the difficult decision to resign. When she informed Gene Roddenberry, the show's creator, of her choice to leave, he didn't argue. Instead, he asked her to think it over during the weekend. That weekend changed everything. At an NAACP banquet, a fan expressed a strong desire to meet her. Expecting just another admirer, Nichols was stunned to find herself face-to-face with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. With warmth and admiration, he told her he was not only a fan of Star Trek, but deeply moved by her portrayal of Lieutenant Uhura. He stressed that her role wasn't just entertainment, it was a symbol of progress, hope, and representation. "You can't leave," he said firmly. "You are our image in the future." Those words redefined her mission and convinced her to stay. Those words changed everything. She returned to Roddenberry's office and told him she would stay. He wept with emotion. From that moment, Nichols embraced her role not just as an actress, but as a symbol of progress. Her presence on the bridge was no longer just a job, it was a mission. In 1968, Nichols took part in one of television's most controversial and legendary moments. In the Star Trek episode Plato's Stepchildren, her character Uhura kissed Captain Kirk, played by William Shatner. It was one of the first interracial kisses ever broadcast on American television. The network, NBC, feared backlash. They asked the cast to film an alternate version, one without the kiss. Shatner and Nichols refused. To ensure the original scene would air, Shatner sabotaged the other takes, crossing his eyes, mugging for the camera, until the network had no choice. The Kiss aired. Viewers were captivated. While some complained, the vast majority sent letters of praise. One white man from the South wrote that while he didn't approve of interracial relationships, he couldn't deny the power of that scene. The kiss wasn't romantic. It was scripted under alien mind control, but the impact was real. It tore down another wall. Even after Star Trek ended in 1969, Nichols' connection to the franchise stayed strong. She returned as Uhura in the animated series and in 6 feature films, including Star Trek VI: The Undiscovered Country. She released an autobiography, Beyond Uhura, and kept working in television, film, and voice acting. Her range included appearances on Futurama, Gargoyles, Batman, the animated series, and The Simpsons. But Nichols didn't just act. She launched a campaign with NASA to diversify the space program. Her recruitment work led to the inclusion of people like Dr. Sally Ride, Guion Bluford, Ronald McNair, Judith Resnick, and Charles Bolden. She helped reshape who could dream of going to space. In 2015, she even joined a NASA mission to observe Mars and Saturn, her life truly merging fiction with fact. Her relationships with co-stars were complicated. Tensions with William Shatner eventually eased with mutual respect. Leonard Nimoy, who played Spock, was always kind and supportive. George Takei brought humor and warmth to the set. DeForest Kelley, known as Dr. McCoy, was steady, gentle, and fair. These connections helped her endure moments when she felt isolated. Nichelle Nichols lived a life filled with both triumphs and heartbreak. Her personal journey was marked by emotional highs and devastating lows, yet she carried herself with unwavering grace and strength. Among her most intimate experiences was a brief but passionate romance with legendary singer Sammy Davis Jr. Though short-lived, it remained a cherished chapter in her life. She married twice, first to dancer Foster Johnson, with whom she had a son, Kyle Johnson, and later to Duke Mondi. Unfortunately, both marriages ended in divorce, adding to the complexities of her personal story. Tragedy struck in 1997 when her brother, Thomas, became one of the victims of the infamous Heaven's Gate cult mass suicide. He had been involved with the group for years, and his death was a haunting moment in Nichols' life. Still, she pressed on. One of the most touching moments came in 2012, when Nichelle visited the White House and met President Barack Obama. With warmth and admiration, the president told her that he had a childhood crush on her. The exchange was lighthearted, but meaningful. It highlighted just how deeply Nichols had impacted people across generations, including the most powerful leader in the country. Her health began to decline in 2015, when she suffered a minor stroke. Then, in 2018, she was diagnosed with dementia. As her condition worsened, legal conflicts emerged over her care. Her son Kyle Johnson sought conservatorship, concerned that her longtime manager had too much control. Friends, including Angelique Fawcett, fought to ensure she wasn't isolated or mistreated. It was a difficult and painful end to a remarkable life. On July 30th, 2022, Nichelle Nichols passed away in Silver City, New Mexico, at the age of 89. Her ashes were sent into deep space, a poetic and fitting tribute to the woman who opened the cosmos for so many. She was more than an actress. She was a symbol of change, courage, and representation. Her legacy isn't just remembered. It continues to shape the stars she once reached for. Nichelle Nichols' legacy goes far beyond the screen. She broke barriers, inspired generations, and revealed a truth that needed to be heard. Her courage changed television and history. If her story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and explore more untold Hollywood stories right here. Thanks for watching.